Hi you guys, welcome back. So today we're going to talk about Tiffany Henyard, but not so much the Tiffany Henyard we see today. We're going to take a trip back in time and look at trustee Tiffany Henyard, because in order for people to understand why some residents and the Board of Trustees ever thought it was a good idea to support her in the first place, we need to go back and look at the behaviors and the things that trustee Tiffany Henyard said she represented. And so what also prompted this video was a comment I got on a previous video regarding something trustee Kiana Belcher said. And she said this while giving an interview with trustee Ed Steve. First, I'm gonna play the clip, then I'll read the comment.
When I was a citizen, I thought that she was doing the right thing because I seen how she came off and it looked like it appeased to the residents. So I was like, okay, I see what she's talking about. Getting up there and now on the other side and you see the things that go on, it's a big difference. And everything that she complained about, transparency, not enough time, voting on items that she didn't have clarity about, she's doing the same thing to us.
So I played an extended version of the clip from the video I put up, but now let's read the comment. At 11:03, this comment, IMHO, in my humble opinion, that's what that stands for, I believe, truly highlights the problem in this community. The fact that someone could listen to Henyard and think she made sense is extremely disturbing. So before I go any further, you guys, I think it's important for me to address that me bringing up this comment is not to throw any shade at this commenter at all. I, respect everyone's opinion as long as they're respectful. And this person was obviously very respectful with their opinion. It just honestly gave me a talking point. So I want to thank them for their comment. That being said, let's move on. Let's talk about when this person says, the fact that someone could listen to Henyard and think that she makes sense is extremely disturbing. I really feel that we have to take some things into consideration when looking back on the past and critiquing the way that people receive certain actions that we now look back in hindsight and say those behaviors that trustee Tiffany Henyard displayed were not what she would refer to as her fighting for the residents, but they were actually just multiple red flags displaying her behavior of someone who should have never been voted into a leadership position in the first place. But one thing I mentioned is hindsight, because like with so many mistakes we make, it's always easy for us and others to look back in hindsight and say what we should have done instead of what we actually did, right? And so the famous saying is that hindsight is 20/20. And so the definition of hindsight 20/20 is an idiom meaning that it's easy to see what should have been done or what would happen after an event has occurred, but it was not so clear at the time. So that being said, let's look at some examples of trustee Tiffany Henyard fighting for the people and doing the right thing, all in the interest of the residents and not for self, allegedly. Okay, that's what she alleges, right? So in this first clip, we're gonna see trustee Tiffany Henyard going after the previous mayor about his process of hiring new police officers. Let's take a look.
If we put in the budget for 36 officers and we have 31, you had approval to hire 5 more, and we still have not hired those 5 more officers. So I don't understand what's the holdup on hiring the officers when we already have approval to do so.
Well, you need to ask the former chief why he didn't hire him.
Okay, we won't place the blame.
Because you gave him
Mayor.
You gave me
okay, he's gone. That's the past, correct? So that means the new chief or the new people that's in charge can do the hiring. So it's no excuse for why we still have not hired officers when we already had approval to hire 5 more.
He just explained to you that they hired 3 and they're continuing the process, and they have some people on that are eligible. There's another one that's going in for the physical Monday. So he just explained to you. So these 3 ahead of where you gave him the authority to hire the 5.
Mayor, may I recognize?
Go ahead.
Trustee Henyard, when I was given the outline that we have 30 applicants that came in, this stack right here is all people that wasn't eligible due to background or other reasons. We had people that was non-certified. So I have probably out of the 30 applicants, 20 of them didn't make the cut. One of the things that we do with bringing laterals on, it's a risk and it's a reward. The risk is that They may have baggage, disciplinary problems that might be in their file from one department or numerous departments. There's a lot of things that raise red flags. One thing that I will not do, I will not bring on any people with problems, because we got enough problems on the street. So therefore, our detectives, when we turn them over to them, they do a thorough background, and we ask them in the beginning of the interview, if you have anything that you need to disclose, now is the time. For some reason, they don't disclose it, because I'll tell you why they don't disclose it, because a lot of departments don't do a thorough check and they slide through the cracks. We cannot afford that here in Dolton. We got too much going on to be hiring people, and then I got to go through a process to get them out. So this is the stack that we've been through. Since I've been appointed, I've been actively and diligently working on that. It's a process from the interview to the background check, to the home check, workplace check, getting a polygraph, getting a psych, a medical. That's a long process, and it just doesn't happen overnight. So here's the stack of people that have, and I say, like, it's probably about 20 applicants out of the 30 that didn't make the cut. And I'll stand by that. If I got to go through 100 to get in, that's what I'll do. But we're working on it.
Thank you for your response.
So here we have Trustee Tiffany Henyard putting major pressure on the mayor about him taking too long to hire police officers. And she was being so nasty towards the mayor about this subject, to the point where the then police chief had to step in and set her straight. Now, maybe some residents at the time saw this as Trustee Tiffany Henyard standing up for them and being their voice and asking the questions that they wanted to ask. But the reality is that Trustee Tiffany Henyard was doing nothing but grandstanding at that moment, while also trying to throw shade at the previous mayor about him not hiring police officers yet. So I wanted to talk about this particular conversation because if we fast forward and look at Mayor Henyard's hiring practices, we can see that the eagerness and willingness to skip past backgrounds and red flags didn't go away, but it just got worse. And the proof of her hiring unqualified individuals has been well reported through news outlets and the subsequent firing of Dolton's deputy police chief, Louis Lacey, whom she hired on, handpicked and hired on.
The acting police chief of Dolton now facing federal charges. A grand jury indicted him on bankruptcy fraud charges today.
Deputy Chief Louis Lacey indicted on bankruptcy fraud charges. He's accused of concealing his income from creditors, misleading statements as they sought to recoup nearly $90,000 in unpaid debts.
He was indicted on not only one, not two, but 9 counts of either making false statements while filing for bankruptcy or knowingly giving false income amounts during his bankruptcy proceedings. Some of these counts include the following. So the first count has to do about a lawsuit against Lacey where they were seeking a judgment in the amount of $88,800. They ended up settling on $55,000 after some back and forth. I guess the final amount was $43,000. But of course, even that Lacey didn't want to pay. So what he did is filed for bankruptcy. And when you file for bankruptcy, I guess they issue what's called an automatic stay. And what that does is it basically stops creditors from harassing you and filing lawsuits against you. So with him filing for bankruptcy, it pretty much put a stop to them trying to collect that money that he owed for the settlement. What he is being accused of is also lying. He lied about his wife living with him and her contributing to the household expenses, and even at one point had the nerve to say he made less than $700 a month. Okay? To be exact, he falsely represented his net monthly income as $617. I mean, come on, do better. Do better. As a deputy police chief, he really said he made less than $700 a month? Between 1984 and July 2019, Lacey has filed a total of 7 bankruptcy cases. Yes, 7, okay? So Louis Lacey was not only indicted for bankruptcy fraud, but he also had a troubled past that Trustee Tiffany Henyard knew about. But then Mayor Henyard decides to hire him anyways. So when I say Trustee Henyard knew about Louis Lacey's issues, such as the lack of trust between him and the community he serves, and speculations about him just flat out not being fit to be deputy police chief. I don't say this without evidence. Let's look at trustee Tiffany Henyard listening to a resident's testimony regarding the treatment she received from Louis Lacey at that time.
And I'm glad that we were actually talking about police today, which is very important. There's no way in the world I would want to lose not one police officer. But my issue today is about a police officer. On October 19th, the police were called to a neighbor of mine's home whom I had been assisting in moral support and trying to help her get a roof fixed. My neighbor is 79 years old with several debilitating issues. The policeman who came out was Officer and Acting Chief Director or Chief Deputy Lacey and Officer Boyd. There were also two adjusters out there at the home that time. One was a public adjuster who was working for the neighbor, and the other one was an Allstate adjuster working for Allstate. Officer Boyd did the corrective measures by making sure everyone who was there had their credentials. I lived a few doors down, so I had to go and get mine. As Officer Lacey was talking to the public adjusters who were also assisting my neighbor, I started taking pictures and recording information as far as with the Allstate's claim adjuster, and was trying to record the information because I not only witnessed what happened, actually I was some sort of way brought into it, and was trying to record information for my own well-being. When Officer Lacey told me to stop, so I started trying to record again. He told me to stop, and if I did it again, he was going to arrest me. And I felt that this was my public right because they were recording as well. I asked him immediately why he didn't answer me in reference to why I had to stop recording, but he just kept taunting me, letting me know and telling me he was going to take me to jail. For me, that was a red flag. Every time I would try and ask a question, he wouldn't answer my question. He just started talking to me in a very condescending and intimidating tone and kept taunting me. I looked at him and I asked him, I said, Officer, I said, did I do something? Did I say something out of place? Did I do something wrong? Officer Lacey then asked me, was I her power of attorney? I told him no. Her daughter lives in Minnesota. That's her power of attorney. And then he told me I can't help her and I need a power of attorney, which to me he was wrong again because I wasn't asking her to give up no money. I was only there for moral support to make sure that she understood what was going on. You say help your neighbor, and that's what I was trying to do. And Officer Lacey then just started acting rude towards me, taunting me, bullying me in a manner as if he wanted me to react to his strange behavior.
So this type of behavior from Louis Lacey was nothing new to Tiffany Henyard. I guess the real question is, why would she hire him when she became mayor, when she knew he had a questionable past regarding resident intimidation and certain behavior issues? Well, in my opinion, she wanted someone who was not afraid to get their hands dirty and someone she could have dirt onto as well, should things go sideways. Because a major pattern she has is she manages to surround herself with people who have criminal behavior or criminal past, and I wonder why. Now let's look at some more examples of trustee Tiffany Henyard fighting for the people, allegedly. So the next example, we're going to look at trustee Tiffany Henyard fighting for the residents, really trying to get the village on the right path, is of her pitching one of her passion babies, okay? The block by block program that she continuously pitched as a trustee and as a mayor. Let's go ahead and have a listen of trustee Tiffany Henyard explaining block by block.
Go ahead, trustee Henyard.
I just want to give you guys a breakdown of the housing program. I called it block by block housing program. I wanted to pass this out today, but it's basically the same thing that I've been advocating for, I've been verbally speaking of. It basically breaks down the free houses and the dollar houses. And then we have a separate program that say 5,000, which is owner occupied homes. Just to give you a breakdown how the free and the dollar houses work, they're geared towards investors. Don't get me wrong. Homeowners can purchase the houses, but I know majority of the people don't have $20,000 sitting in their bank account because those houses need the most work. So say for instance, it can have holes in the roof, it has raccoons, animals living in it, furniture stolen, anything like that, and it can get costly. These qualification goes as follow. And this I did discuss with the board. The board was in agreement with this when I did put it together. So right now we're still structuring and adding to this. So free and the dollar houses. Qualifications: proof of funds. You got to show that you have $20,000 in the bank account. You have to use a licensed and bonding contractor in the village of Dolton. You have to pull a 90-day permit. You have to basically get both inspections, which is the initial inspection that you get when you purchase the home, and then the second inspection to say you can sell the property. Additional fee if inspection is failed. Escrow is only $1,000. there's a lottery, and the reason why we did lottery is because a lot of people don't have a lot of money. So I didn't want someone to get outbid because somebody has big bank take little bank per se. I want it to be fair. That's the only way we can come up with it being fair. It would be a split of 75% to the investor and 25% to the village. I always give the example of if you have $120,000 you sold the property for. You put $20,000 into the property. You, the investor, will get the $20,000 back. Therefore, it's $100,000 left. The $100,000 will be split amongst you and the village. So you will walk away with $75,000 and the village will walk away with $25,000. Now, I'm not going to get technical as far as, it's closing costs and other things associated with it, but I just try to do simple math so people can follow. And then also budget for the unforeseen. So I always try to educate because people jump in this game and don't understand it. So budget, because you never know. You can open up a wall and oh my God, you will have a ton of plumbing, a ton of electric to do. You never know. So just budget for it. And of course, investor must sell property. You cannot keep the property. You cannot rent the property out. We are trying to basically put homeowners back in these properties. Just so y'all know the goal of us up here, the board. The board wants home ownership. We don't per se want renters. But I am talking to Section 8 who turns renters into homeowners. So if they want to come off of Section 8 and purchase a house, that's perfectly fine. And then also I put just on here a suggestion, hire a private inspector. And the reason being, I had purchased a house and when I went to go view the property, I thought the property was okay. I didn't see that the property was tilting. And what that means is it was sinking. The foundation was sinking. And then when I called somebody out, it cost me another $10,000, $15,000 to jack the house back up. So I'm just giving you examples of things that we don't see, but the inspector might catch so that it can save you some money. The next program was the $5,000 houses. That is owner occupied. And the reason why they're $5,000 in your houses is not $1 or free is because it barely needs any work. These are the property that needs like cosmetic work, such as paint, flooring, simple things that I feel, the resident can afford. The qualifications is must be a Dolton resident, must live in the house for 5 years, which most board members wanted. Before we was at 3, so we increased it to 5 years. Must complete repairs in 90 days. Must pull a permit, which is a 90-day permit. Housing inspections, you got your initial and your final. And then if you fail, you have to pay more money. Escrow is only $500. That's the money you put up before you get to pull the permit. A lottery, of course, so we'll put your name or a number in a hat and we will pull it out, and then whoever gets it wins it. Because again, if I make it a bid process, that resident will not be able to purchase, because say the next person might pull their 401k and got $40,000 and you saved your income tax money and you might only have $5,000. So to make it fair, again, it would be a lottery. Budget for the unforeseen. Once again, hire a private inspector, and then we would like the homeowner to go through a training to basically maintain the property and also get an annual inspection. So basically trying to educate throughout the process, but we're trying to make it fair that everybody would benefit from it. And hopefully you guys, you saving your money. I got a ton of calls. A lot of you guys said you're saving your income tax money and you're ready to purchase now. The attorney, I did speak with him earlier today, and he is in the process of working on this, and we're supposed to meet tomorrow to get a better what would you say, Murphy? A better understanding of where we're headed.
So I will say, I see why the Board of Trustees were not on board with this back then. Even though she says the trustees were on board with it then, somehow it didn't go through. And the Board of Trustees nowadays were not on board with this program either. And one of the major issues I noticed when she was doing her whole spiel about this block by block program was the lottery system she talked about, and how she mentioned that the reason for the lottery system was so that certain residents didn't get outbidded. And she pointed out that some residents might have saved their tax money, while another could possibly pull from their 401k and outbid the other residents. Well, in that case, I would think that the village would want the resident who has more money to play with when taking on the responsibility of buying a house, fixing it up, and then trying to sell it, versus someone who is in a more dire financial situation, who might have only been able to scrap up enough money to purchase the house through this program, and then later on not be able to maintain the house or fix it up because they're not getting that type of money flow on the regular. So you guys see what I mean? It's like setting people up for failure. And I think it's the same concept like when people who don't have any money at all and then they win the lottery. How many cases have you guys heard about those people's lives changing for the worse? All right. So I feel like she's setting people up to get into these agreements with these houses, and she's mentioning people getting their tax money back. That's just like a lump sum you get once a year. They should be able to have this type of money throughout the year, you know, because she herself is mentioning all these unexpected expenses, like certain things might pop up. So you need to be able to prepare for the unforeseen. So she says, how are people who are used to only getting a large lump sum of money once a year able to prepare for the unforeseen? And then they're just throwing all this money into buying the house, and then that's it. What are they going to do after that? So needless to say, I felt like there were some other reasons why she wanted this program so bad then, and why she still wanted it as a mayor, because like I said, she's into real estate. Like she said, she's into real estate. And then there's the whole fiasco of Mayor Tiffany Henyard not paying the landlord their rent, even though she had enough money between her job as mayor and her job as supervisor of Thornton Township. But there was a speculation going on that she was trying to drive this lady out of her house so she could then swoop in and buy it. Those are all allegations. They did go to court. Not sure exactly what happened with that property. I think the lady still owns it because Tiffany moved on to fry bigger fish like St. Patrick's, which she also did not get that property. That was another speculation, allegation. Allization. You guys, I'm saying allizations. That's horrible. That's what happens when you listen to too much Tiffany, okay? But let's get back on track. So you guys get it. You know, there's the accusations of her trying to sweep properties from underneath people. But why I wanted to talk about this block by block program is because it segues me into the next example that I'm going to give as to why I feel like a lot of Trustee Henyard's actions were for herself. In this next clip, we will see Trustee Tiffany Henyard pushing for the board to approve the hiring process to get a new housing inspector on the payroll. Now, after I play this clip, I'm going to explain why I feel she may have handpicked the housing inspector and how she might have directly benefited from having ties to the inspector. Just my opinion on how I see the situation outside looking in. Let's watch.
On the agenda is new business, the hiring of building inspector, Trustee Henyard.
All right, thank you. I put this on the agenda because we are in desperate need of a building inspector for housing. Currently now we have one inspector now, and that's Charles. He does all the building, the zoning, all of those things. We need someone for rental inspections. If need, we need them to be qualified, a qualified building inspector. So I would like to make a motion to hire a qualified building inspector for housing.
I second that.
Okay, it's a motion second to hire building inspector. Any discussion?
Yes, with the one caveat, I believe this inspector is paid, he's a not freelancer, but an independent contractor, and he's paid per inspection. Is that correct, Trustee?
That's correct. He was our electrical inspector. He was paid $20.
20, is it 20 per inspection?
Yes, he was.
Okay, I have a question. Trustee, an inspector, are you talking about, because I thought we had discussed this, you were talking about Cornell's position as the electrical inspector, or just a regular inspector like Charles? Well, he does that too.
She's in need of a rental inspection inspector because the rental inspections is not getting done currently. They're way behind, and that's money, of course, revenue that we receive when they pay for the rental.
Okay.
Yeah, and there's no new money. It's just replacing old money. It's replacing a person.
Okay, and do you want that individual also to know anything about electrical?
Yes.
Okay.
She's gonna draw it up. I guess she got to talk to Angela and HR, and they're gonna draw up a sheet and put it out on the website. This is just get approval so they can move forward.
Okay.
And Mayor, when you do pick someone, that's why I keep saying qualified, not nobody friend, nothing politics. Somebody qualified that can actually do the job.
I agree with you.
On the motion to hire a qualified building inspector for rental properties, Trustee Muhammad?
Aye.
Trustee Stubbs?
Aye.
Trustee Pearson?
Aye.
Trustee Henyard?
Aye.
Motion carried, 4 ayes.
So, why is this clip important to the point I'm trying to make about Trustee Tiffany Henyard doing things for self and not for the residents? Because this board meeting, where she addresses the need for an inspector and where she even puts the mayor on blast for hiring for political purposes and not qualifications, this meeting was held in January of 2019. And if we skip ahead about 10 to 11 months down the line, in October or November of 2019, we will find some news segments regarding Tiffany Henyard and a infamous Section 8 house she rented out. Because remember, she's in real estate. Let's watch.
Rental home owned by a Dolton Village trustee.
Since then, the renter says it's only gotten worse. CBS 2 political investigator Dana Kozloff has also learned that trustee is pocketing tens of thousands of your tax dollars for a house that's now unlivable.
Jacqueline Smith and her 2 children called this hotel room home for almost a month. Ever since the Dolton house they were renting from village trustee Tiffany Henyard was slapped with this.
A big red sign that I cannot live there because it's unlivable.
Unlivable mostly because of mold. I want to talk to you about that house on Dearborn. Can we do that?
My attorney's right here, so if you got any questions, I have legal counsel. Talk to my attorney.
So you want me to talk to your attorney and not you? You can't tell me how that house failed an inspection in October when it just passed it beforehand?
If you have any questions, talk to my attorney.
So we did.
The inspection process is within control of the village, not of the trustee. She has been instructed by the village attorney to be treated just like any other property owner.
Dolton's attorney says the house's inspection history is under investigation.
So once again, that hypocrisy really seeps through, right? Because on the one hand, she's getting on the mayor talking about, oh, we need to make sure we hire someone qualified, not for political reasons and blah, 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 blah.
And Mayor, when you do pick someone, that's why I keep saying qualified, not nobody friend, nothing politics, somebody qualified that can actually do the job.
But then on the other hand, go some months down the line, we have her making headlines about a Section 8 moldy house that she's renting to people, but somehow she mysteriously passed the inspections after getting someone new on board to do inspections for the village. Just a little fishy, right?
Seemed fishy to me.
I mean, you guys get the point. So let's go ahead and circle back to the original purpose of this video, and that was to showcase how people will allow themselves to buy into someone's illusion of themselves. Because Tiffany Henyard put up this illusion that she was there for the residents, that she was the people's trustee, the people's mayor, but in the end, she's really this narcissistic sociopath. I feel, I'm not a professional, you guys, but these are words I feel that best describe her. When I look at her personality, how she acts, how she treats people, how she talks to people, okay, amongst other things, because we know that mouth is something else. And so what people really have to ask themselves when they're going out and they're voting for people, is this someone that I would want to be around in my daily life? Is this someone, if she's talking like this, would this type of behavior be allowed in certain professional settings that we tend to see ourselves in everyday life? No, we wouldn't, because they would get fired. So if they can't act like this in a normal professional setting, why are we allowing them to act like that in politics? It's a job as well. We are the consumers. We choose them. We allow them to be in those positions. Why aren't our expectations higher? I guess that's what I'm trying to say. People need to relate how people act to how they would allow themselves to be treated in their daily lives. Don't give people passes because you view it as passion and you view it as them standing up. No, it's just, call it what it is. It's rude, it's ratchet, okay? Amongst other things. So I do want to say this for all of you who have been following this whole Dolton fiasco. I know a lot of this information is just like a rerun, but there's a lot of people out there who have never heard of Tiffany Henyard. I know her mouth is so big and she talks so much, you would think the world knows of her. I mean, she thinks the world knows of her.
The world know who I am for that matter. Thank y'all. Appreciate it.
But she's really not as well known as she thinks she is. And she wouldn't be as known as she is right now if it weren't for so many YouTubers reporting on her. But this whole situation is great to talk about because it really showcases the importance of your local government and how your vote really counts. And it also shows you how important it is to do research on the people you plan on voting for. So if you guys enjoyed these flashbacks and you want to see me do some more examples of Tiffany Henyard as a trustee showing why people might have voted for her as a mayor, go ahead, leave it down in the comments for me. And once again, if you've made it this far, please remember to leave this video a like, and if you're new here, subscribe.